All right. Good morning, everyone. Patty Goolsby out of the Denver metro area, Pro 6. I am so jazzed this morning. I'm so glad you guys joined us on this LVA weekend, the day before St. Patrick's Day. This is our cross-line collaboration Zoom that we do every Friday for the last 2.5 years. And I'm going to read two quotes that we get started with every week. First of all, a culture is strong when people work with each other, for each other, and a culture is weak when people work against each other for themselves. And the second one is my absolute favorite. That is, a culture eats strategy for breakfast every single time. This call is a cross-line collaboration for everyone at LifeVantage so that they can share their stories. Today we have a very special guest, so I'm going to send it over to Shannon Shine, the brainchild of this entire Zoom that I love that she's done and allowed me to be a part of for the past 2.5 years. So with that, Pro 6, Shannon Shine out of the King Carl Ranch, Denver metro area as well. Shannon, take it away.
Thank you so much, Patty. And I am super excited too for today's guest speaker. If you guys were in Indianapolis, EA, you saw Jared Haddock from stage. He's the creative director at LifeVantage. And I don't know about you guys, but his message just spoke to me so much. And Jared joined LifeVantage in January of 16, and I was doing a little bit of research on Jared on LinkedIn last night, and I have to read you guys what he wrote, and then I'll let you take it away, okay? But he said his passion is exploring the human connection, helping brands cultivate a personality that creates ravenous customers. I believe that true connection helps us see things we never have before, turning the world in such a way that you see it as if for the first time. The moment your son's laugh opens your eyes to joy, or the moment an elderly woman you just met opens your eyes to beauty, these moments of pure awakened connection. I love finding ways to do the same with brands, taking something seemingly mundane and helping it connect emotionally and powerfully with others. To be able to take a story or an idea to make it relatable and powerful, that is what I live for. I love to teach and inspire to make complex concepts simple and understandable. And oh my gosh, is this so much what we strive to do when we're talking with people. So Jared, I'm so excited for you to share with us. Please jump in, tell us why LifeVantage, and tell us your story. Take it away.
Sure. Yeah. So I joined LifeVantage, as you said, in January of 2016. For me, it was a little bit of a roundabout thing. I at the time, I had a consultant business that I was running, and LifeVantage hired me as a consultant. And so they were one of my one of my contracts, really. And the people that I was working with and the things that I was hearing were really exciting to me. And so when they asked me if I'd be willing to come work for them, it didn't make sense on paper, but it made a lot of sense inside. And I found that for me personally, when I follow that gut feeling, things tend to work out. And so my wife and I decided that the LifeVantage was the place for us, and I've loved it ever since. So like I said there on LinkedIn, I love helping brands make the seemingly mundane something that really connects. And the great thing about LifeVantage is we don't have a mundane thing. It's not that hard to do. We have an amazing, amazing product and an amazing thing that we're talking about and sharing with the world, and it's making the world a better place. So I was really excited to jump on, and I've loved my time here. I started about 6 months to 9 months after Ryan Goodwin started, and so it's just kind of been a fun ride with him.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to just start with a couple of things. So your background is your energy is the creation. You got a lot of stuff that you've got in the works. You've been with us for the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
What does today look like compared to a couple of years ago?
Oh, well, I would say the biggest thing is, so LifeVantage has always had this huge potential, right? And an amazing product and an amazing offering. I think the difficulty has been in it gets lost in the message. Was what I noticed when I first came on. It was right at this point where there was a lot of growth. Things like Pretend Nerf 1, Synergizer were coming out. You also had just launched Physique right about the time that I was coming on. And so these new product lines were coming out, but there was a story problem. And so when I came on, that was one of the first things that Darren and Ryan kind of asked is, help us solve this issue. And so I got into it and found out that for most people, there was a problem talking about LifeVantage. You had people who had come on and were calling it the Nerf 2 company or the Oxidation company or the ABC Primetime company. You had people who came on through Physique who were calling it the Weight Loss company. You had people who would come on with True Science, and they were calling it the skincare company, or with Axio, and they were calling it the energy drink company. And everybody kind of referring to our company in a different way. And the thing that I noticed is as corporate tried to support and strengthen what was happening with distributors in that way, they would have to go over and help the weight loss people, and then you'd see the sales of the others kind of drop. And then they'd go over and help the Protandim Nerf 2 people, and you'd see the sales of the others start to drop. And it was like trying to pick up individual pearls. And so one of the things I said to Darren is, you just got to pick up the string. You've got to string them together. There is a string that's here that already exists. We just need to focus on that. And that's where biohacking came from. And so we found that was our message, and it was an easy way to talk about it. It was already there. We just needed to be able to put some terms to it and kind of get everybody going on the same page. And so that's been a little bit of an effort over the last, you've noticed, about year to year and a half, is really unifying everybody under that one message of who we really are. And so I would say that's the biggest difference, is that I would say particularly over about the last 9 months to a year, we really know who we are in a way that we can talk about it that unifies everybody. And that's really future focused. One of the things I love about Darren and Ryan Goodwin and Justin they are extremely focused on the future, that there is a vision for the company, and there is a place where we're headed, and there is a greater message and a greater purpose to what we do. And so that's been really exciting to be a part of. And I would say that's the biggest difference between where we were 2 years ago and where we are now. And I think we're just on that journey. I think it's getting better and it's getting stronger, and I'm excited to see where we are in a year from now.
I love it. I love it. Shannon, do you have a question? Because I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you said future focused. So yeah. Some of us, for me particularly, I've been in the company since May of 2010.
Okay.
Absolutely love. I've loved it from day one. Yes, we've had the whitewaters, but I love the fact that you said Darren and Ryan are future focused. Can you tell us, or just drop some things? What does that look like?
Well, you've heard Darren talk in the events about when he came on, and he kind of felt like the industry as a whole was on like a 20-mile-an-hour highway. That you had distributors, you had our customers, for instance, are pretty ravenous. I mean, the people who try our products pretty quickly see how amazing they are, and so they're excited about it. But the problem is that the people could only really move about 20 miles an hour on that road. And so they've been really focused over, Darren's been here now, 2.5 years, coming up on 3. And they've been really focused on changing that highway, as you've heard him talk about in events, to a super lane highway, something you could go flying on 80 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. And so you've seen things like the biohacking message. You've seen things like the app that's coming out. You've seen things like getting rid of a lot of the friction, redoing the website, changing the purchase. It was kind of funny when I first came on, the way that people would have to purchase products, or even to sign up to be a distributor, it seemed like it was 30 steps long. And that's gone down to just a couple of clicks. So getting rid of a lot of the friction, making things easier, also just unifying the entire base. You'll see things like the app that are coming out that we're really excited about. We think that that's going to revolutionize the business and make it just a single touch point, super easy to move things along. Even things like our ability now to capture customers on lifevantage.com and be able to give those back out to distributors. Before we had so much traffic coming to LifeVantage, whether that was viewers at RSL games, or people who had seen our ads, or seen our billboards, or people who just heard about LifeVantage or heard about biohacking, wonder what is this, and they Google it, and LifeVantage comes up pretty fast with biohacking. they go to lifevantage.com, and if they don't know a distributor, it's done, right? All that emotion that they had, feeling like this is something I want to get involved, this is something I want to try. Now they've got to go and like essentially search out a distributor, which is extremely difficult. So now we're able to capture those people, send them back out to the field, those sorts of things. We're just removing all sorts of friction. They're moving into China, changing up of our database to Microsoft AX. It's fun to see a lot of these things get streamlined and really become the company that it deserves to be.
Awesome. I love it. So my next question, it actually came from one of the field leaders that just sent me a text, is what's your definition of biohacking?
My definition of biohacking, and this is something that particularly Ryan Goodwin and I have been working on for a while, and testing it and continually testing it. So I love talking about biohacking. When somebody asks me what I do, first thing I tell them is I'm a professional biohacker. And I just kind of leave that there and leave it open. I don't try to tell them too much. And of course, that wets the whistle, right? If they've heard of biohacking, they have lots of questions. If they haven't heard of biohacking, the first question is, well, what's biohacking? It leads into an easy conversation. And the thing I want to do is demystify it right off the bat, make it as simple as possible. And so I tell them that biohacking is really simple. It's just taking control of your biology to get a different outcome. And so then it's really simple. And I tell them, look, if you are taking if your kid's taking a Flintstone vitamin, world's youngest biohacker right there. It's just anything you're doing to change what you put into your body so you get something different out of it. If you've ever cut sugar out of your diet because you've noticed a slump, if you've ever noticed that you just weren't thinking right or just weren't feeling right and started cutting maybe gluten out and found out, oh, well, I guess I have a gluten intolerance. You've been biohacking. If you've ever in the morning said, that was the worst night's sleep of my life, what happened? And looked back and said, okay, here's what I ate the night before. Here's what time I went to bed. Here's what I did before bed. Let me try and fix that for tonight. You're a biohacker. And so it's a really kind of simple concept, and trying to get that out to people. People immediately grab onto it. They say, oh, I get that. And the other thing that I try to do right at the beginning after saying that I'm a professional biohacker, and they ask, what's that? So I'll explain it. I try to find out from them and typically what they do. And typically it's really easy to turn it back on them and say, yeah, you're a biohacker. What you're doing right now. Oh, so you go running every morning? Yeah, you're a biohacker. You just didn't know it. Let me tell you about some things that we're doing that are pretty cool. And so, yeah, it's an exciting thing to talk about.
That is so awesome. Shannon?
Yes, and feverishly taking notes. So share a little bit with us. You've talked some bit about what's going on at corporate, but to be involved in, like, to walk into the building every morning with so much going on, share with us a little bit about the energy and the excitement that goes on, because, when we're here, we're building, we're out in the trenches. Just share with us little bits of inspiration. I can't imagine what it's like to walk in those doors every morning with so much excitement happening.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And that's something that you just search for, right? Is the kind of job or the kind of life's work where you just are excited to wake up every morning and get in. And it's never really off your mind because you're just excited about it. And that's what it's like here. To be able to walk in every morning, get excited to get going, to solve some problems. Some of the things that we're working on, like I said, we're really excited about. And so that's what it is. It's a high energy. It's getting more and more. And you've heard Darren talk about, as he's making that super highway, that corporate's running 120 miles an hour. It's totally true. I think everybody here is just sprinting. And in fact, I've never seen this in another corporation before. Before I came on at LifeVantage, like I said, I had a side business as a consultant, and one of the things that companies hired me to do was to come into their corporation, help fix their culture. And so I'd spend a few days with companies and figure out what was happening, and then provide some steps and some tools that they could do to adjust their culture. And I would say that the culture here is pretty stunning. I've never seen a company running this fast without burnout. And so that tells you just how engaging and enriching the work is to the people around here. They're really engaged, and they're really being buoyed up by the work. It's kind of, when you're involved with something great, and when you're involved with something that really connects with you in your heart, it's enriching to yourself, right? It's hard to get burned out on that stuff because it's cyclical. The more you do it, the more enriched you feel. And so it's a real blessing. It's a really neat work, and something really special is happening. And I've noticed that really coming to fruition probably in about the last 9 months.
Awesome.
It's just ramping. It's fun. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you talked about culture, because I think that's something that, being in other network marketing companies before, I've never seen a culture like this. And I know the faster we grow, I really hope that continues to stay the same, that culture is really, it starts at the top and goes all the way down. And it's inclusive of everyone, no matter what. And I think you see that here with so many different backgrounds in so many different people that have been able to hit the premier and elite ranks, where in other companies that's not happening.
Yeah. They're really living it, which is another amazing thing, and something that I would look for in any culture, right? You want people to not just be talking about the culture out of one side of their mouth and not really living it. And you have people that are really living it here. Ryan and I are kind of crazy into biohacking. You've got Darren, who even though he considers himself a weekend biohacker, he says he's not as nuts as Ryan and I. But even with him, he's dropped 70 pounds. Yeah. His regimen, his stack that he's taking every morning is quite involved. He's just living it. The man runs 6 miles every day before he comes into work.
Oh my gosh.
He's focused on it, and it shows, and it shows in his leadership.
I completely agree, and I love that, because like we said, leadership starts at the top, and he is a great example of getting our bodies into that biohacking state. And what is biohacking? Because I do believe it looks different for each and every one of us. But the definition, what you just said, we are the biohacking company. And you said, you're a professional biohacker. I love that. I love that it's all come together, that we're just not branded as one thing, because it is our entire body that is changing. Sorry, I'm really excited. Wow. I love this. I love where we're going. Shannon?
I know, Patty. So I was going to say, everybody, make sure you listen to what he said, the language he uses for when he talks to people, that he's a professional biohacker, because that was some fabulous verbiage, and just turn it into your own, whatever words would make it your own. And Jared, I would love if you can revisit your talk from stage a little bit, when you were talking about the important thing is to take action. Getting people from their why to their taking action. So can you share a little bit about that, how you encourage or consult with people to get them to do that?
Yeah, this is kind of a universal concept that works for any business, but is particularly powerful here at LifeVantage, where we have something that's so strong. Everybody has their why, right? And we talk about that a lot, particularly in this industry. And I should say, LifeVantage is my first foray into network marketing. I was very, very standoffish of network marketing, even consulting with them. I would turn down jobs with network marketing companies because I felt like their hearts were in the wrong place. And you just can't fix that if it's at a core. Where they're just purely focused on selling an idea of richness. And the problem with that is it's appealing to the lowest common denominator of a human being. A human being, we at our base, at our fundamental core, we have some things that we respond to, right? One of those bases is fear, and the reason for that is, look, we've had to save ourselves over the years. In order to continue the species, if something's going to kill you, you have to run away from it pretty fast and respond immediately to fear. And I see that you had a lot of companies who were based on that. The first thing they were telling you was not about their product or about who they were, because that didn't matter. They were just saying, hey, you don't want to miss out. Or things like, we're the next Google, or we're the next Facebook. And you want to say, sorry, Mark Zuckerberg didn't even know he was the next Facebook. He was just creating a social thing for Harvard. And so any of that, it just kind of feels a little disingenuous, and it plays on a fear. Now, the problem with that is not just that it's just on a base on a base instinct, but the bigger problem is it doesn't last long, and it can't be long lasting. And what you see with those companies is that they'll grow very fast because people respond out of fear and they just want to jump in, and it's a shell game, right? But the shell game, if they're not selling a quality product and they don't have an amazing thing that's below them, it's a bubble. It has to pop, and it can't last long. If you're running from something that you're scared and you don't want to miss out, or you are responding out of some sort of survival instinct or focused purely on yourself, you can only run with that for so long before you burn out or you're done. Or, if you're running from a tiger, if we want to go way back, you can only run for so long before you're going to stop and look behind you and go, okay, do I really have to run anymore? And what I saw with LifeVantage is it was something different. It was an intrinsic motivation, not an extrinsic motivation. And what I mean by intrinsic motivation is it's something that is inspired from within and from something that I want to become greater than myself. And so when we're talking about a why, you can have whys that are based on fear, and they will get people to respond. I don't want to miss out, or I don't want to lose my house, and sometimes, depending on the place that you're in, sometimes that is the place where you have to start, right? But it's got to quickly get intrinsic after that, because otherwise, once you're not losing your house, you're done. Right. You do need to take care of that right off the bat, but that's where the why has to get deep. Otherwise, it can't have any longevity. And that why, as I talked about on stage, it has to propel you for a long time. It has to keep you going. And the way to do that is to tie it into some very powerful things that connect with our brain. So one of the things I talked about with on stage is if you find yourself running out of steam ever, it's a connection to your why. And it doesn't mean that your why isn't good. It means that your why is probably great. You just need to drill down on it a little bit more. So let's say that your why is something as simple as I want to spend time with my family. If that's based on something extrinsic, like they're growing up fast and I just don't want to lose out, that's a good place to start, but we need to drill deeper on that. And so the question is, why am I asking that? What do I want? What is it that I'm really trying to get? And so once we ask a why on our why and drill down even deeper, then the point we want to eventually get to is finding something that's so specific to us that it gets to our core, and then tying that to something that is a physical experience. Because we're wanting to rewire our brains, right? We want to rewire our brains so that it can't find another path. Water finds the lowest common denominator, right? If you're building if you're trying to get water to your plants and you're building a waterway, the water, as you fill it up, it's gonna find whatever the lowest place is, and then just pool there and sit there. Or if there's a lower place, it's going to create an offshoot and go somewhere else. So what we want to do is make sure that we've got that down deep, and that trough is going to where we want it to go, and then we need to physically connect it there. So what I talked about on stage was the way to physically connect it and to really physically rewire our brain are through our experiences. And those experiences can actually do the physical rewiring. You'll notice that, and we know this, we've known this for years, that physical experiences rewire the brain, right? Whether that's early trauma, or whether it's an amazing experience that you had with your family, or whether it's an eye-opening spiritual experience. Those sorts of physical experiences really change who we are, fundamentally so. I had a kid over at my house playing with one of my sons the other day, who, when he was 2 or 3, he was at a house and a dog nipped him. And so he came over to our house, and we have a little puppy, and he was, I mean, he's a 12-year-old boy, you know, he's a good 120 pounds. He's a big kid, 5'5", 120 pounds, 12-year-old boy. And he was scared of this puppy. And it's because that early experience had wired his brain. So we want to wire our brain to connect to our why and make sure that why is going to be long lasting. So some of the things that I suggested on stage are going out and having a physical experience attached to your why. If your why is your family, and if your why is spending time with your spouse, or if it's, I want to have more time to spend with my kids, or I want to be able to afford to go on adventures with them and have these shared memories, then you need to have an experience with that. Even if you can't afford one now, or you feel like you don't have the time, go to your local park, go up the mountain next to your house, go to whatever you like to do. Have a mini experience of what you want. And in that mini experience, you need to tie it into some physicalities. So if that were my why, and for me, that's my why, so it's easy to talk about. You want to go to the park with your kids and connect it with something very physical. The touch of your daughter's hand, or the look of your wife's hair in the sunlight, or the look in her eyes as you connect with her, or your son's laugh as he's playing. Okay, I want it. And you have to take these mental snapshots to say, that is what I want. I want that more. I want more of that. And once you kind of lock that into your brain and tell yourself that, and you have the connection with the feel of your daughter's hand in yours, or whatever that physical thing is, now it's tied to an experience. And now your brain actually rewires itself. It says, that felt good. I want more of that. And so that's what I was talking about on stage, is really drilling down on your why to something that's so utterly connected, so physically connected, that you can't lose it. And then it probably takes doing that every now and then. If you find your why, if you find yourself kind of losing your why, go reconnect with it in some way. And those constant physical reconnections. And there's a reason for this, and I think it ties into, I'll go back a little to how you mentioned how I start with, I'm a professional biohacker. Part of the reason I do that is based on a human behavior trait, which is experiences is where we make decisions. And I would say this is really important for anybody listening on the call. If you're talking about LifeVantage or sharing the story, remember, experience is what makes decisions. We make decisions based off our feelings, off of our guts, off of our experiences. We don't make decisions based on facts. and the funny part is you'll often hear people, and most corporations, and you'll hear distributors get caught in this too. Once they have had that experience and they're, let's call it converted, right? Once they're converted to their company, and in LifeVantage, once we are biohackers and we love it and we're converted, we say, this is great. Facts are beautiful. They back up our feeling. They confirm our feeling. They help us feel like our decisions were the right decision, and they're self-confirmation. You'll see this on Facebook all the time. People share facts on Facebook all the time, trying to change people's minds. And all it does is lock in everybody who has their same exact feeling already and their same exact point of view. It locks them in. They go, yeah, I love that fact because it fits with exactly with what I believe. But anybody who doesn't believe that goes, so? They don't care, because we don't make decisions based on facts. So when I start talking about our company, the first thing I want to do is help them have an experience. And one of the ways that I can do that is to share with them something they've never heard before. And so that's why I like talking about biohacking, because they can feel my conviction for it and my understanding for it, but it's also going down a pathway that hasn't been built in their brain yet. They don't have a preconceived notion and a decision that they've already made on the idea of biohacking. So I'm exploring new ground, and the first person to lay new ground in a brain wins. It's easier to do that than to try to overcome something that they've already heard. So if the first thing you're doing is trying to overcome their preconceived notion on network marketing, and they have a negative thing on network marketing, no amount of facts is going to change it. You can have some sort of experience that will eventually change it, but you're pushing a heavy boulder uphill. So I'm going down a road that's never been gone before in their brain and exploring that, which is the idea of biohacking. And then they say, what is that? And when they hear me talk about my experience and what it's done for me, they say, okay, let me find out more about that. And I can have them salivating for the product within 5 minutes. It doesn't take long. In fact, within just a couple minutes, most people are saying, where do I get this product? I say, well, that's the best part, is that it's sold through our network of independent distributors. So there's people just like you who are having these sorts of experiences, or me, who are having these experiences with biohacking, and then they're able to sell the product and make some money off of it. And so they want it. And once I can have that sort of emotional experience, or another way would be to have an emotional story behind it, people are salivating. So there's a reason why I do that. I start with the experience, and I don't start with just a bunch of facts. Once they've made that decision, then the facts can come in afterwards. And those facts, once they've kind of said, hey, this is something worth checking out, and I'm excited about this, then those facts, maybe later in a presentation, or even the next day, or a few days later, now they're like, oh, this is good stuff. I want to know more about this stuff.
I love that, because it's all about connecting, and
Yes.
and facts are not going to connect you with that person that you're sharing with, but what you're talking about does. That's what makes the connection, and that's what network marketing is all about, is making the connection. It's a relationship business. That's
yes.
perfect.
And the great part is we have some amazing facts, and we have some amazing evidence, and it's all true. And so it's really easy to share that afterwards. But the mistake I often see in corporations and with people is they try to share those facts right off the bat, and they're sharing facts that mean a lot to them because they're already converted, but it just falls on deaf ears. It really is about helping them have an experience. And so one of the things that I'll often do with people is, like, this is why I love our Vitality Stack, because I can share it with people, and I know that they're going to have I can switch their brain pretty quick. Just if I point out at the beginning, hey, let's talk about what problems you have. Are you having any brain fog? Are you feeling like you just have an afternoon slump? What's going on with you? What are the problem points? And I can get them on the Vitality Stack. And for me personally, I find that within a few days, I can go back to them and they've had a drastically different experience. Go, boom, there you go. You've had your experience. And once they've had their experience, they're locked in. They're just as converted as I am, because they've just felt it for themselves. I haven't had to tell them anything. They've been able to see it for themselves. And so it's really easy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know we're running late, but I have to ask this, because you said something in what you said, and I hope that everybody kind of caught it on here. You talked about the experience, and you said you see it on social media a lot. We're not selling facts on social media.
Yeah.
Is there something that you see that is happening across the social media platform that's happening, and how to switch that?
Yeah. I think that the trap that we fall in is a short-sightedness on social media, right? What I mean by short-sightedness is you're going for the immediate sale, or you're focused. As I talked earlier, if you're intrinsically focused, right? If you're focused on fear, it's a selfish motivation. And so that selfish motivation you can't start with. You have to switch that up. It's got to be about other people, because we are, as humans, are pre-wired to understand people's motivations to a point. You can tell, even if somebody says the same words, I can have two people come up and you say the exact same words, and I can tell if somebody's out for them or if they really care about me. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with the person who really cares about me every single time. And so when we get short-sighted on social media and we're just aiming for that quick sale, you're looking for the people that are already ripe, essentially. It's gonna work a little bit. You might find a couple people who are already ripe, but for most people, it's gonna turn them off, because they can tell that you're just in it for you. So on social media, what I would say is really focus on providing value for others, and focus on finding a way to reach out to them or share what they have come to your page to see. Another problem that you see on Facebook and on social media in general is you got to realize your audience, right? Most of those people signed up to follow you and clicked that follow button, not because they said, dude, I want a commercial for Protandem every day. They signed up because they love you, and they've known you, and they want to stay up with you and hear what's going on with your life, and they want to feel some sort of connection with you. So the more that you can just share genuine personal experiences and not focus on that short sale, the better it's going to be. So those who are really finding some success on social media are the ones who are just saying things like, hey, I'm going to the Bahamas next week. I can't wait to spend that time with my spouse and my kids. And then people ask them about it, and they say, oh, it's with my company, LifeVantage. I earned this, and they start driving the conversation. Or it's just sharing experiences with how amazing you've found your brain. I'm falling in love with my brain again, and this has been exciting. I've been having problems, and I finally feel like I can think through the day, or I can find clarity. And it's sharing it from a genuine point of view rather than finding a way to just sell the product. Just live your life. Be a biohacker and share the wonderful things that are happening to you without an ulterior motive, and people can feel it, and they will reach out to you most of the time. It's really powerful that way.
Oh, wow. I love it. I thank you. That was so good. I'm super jazzed. Okay, Shannon, close us out.
Okay. Jared, you were such a treat. This was awesome this morning. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And seriously, everybody, go back, fill in the blanks where you missed some notes, because he gave us some real gems today. Thanks so much, Jared, for taking this time today. Everybody will see you at LVA tomorrow, or get to your local LVA if you're not here in Colorado, and wear your green. St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Patty.
Thank you. Everybody have a great one.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.